Hey everybody, welcome back to my second video in this series about goal setting. It's all about helping you achieve the goals that you want to achieve, to become the person that you want to become, to create the life that you want to create. Even if you don't know what all those things are, a lot of people, when we start talking about goals, start getting all clammed up and shut down because they think, goals are either super woo-woo or not for people that aren't in touch with reality, or on the other side of the spectrum, goals are for people that are really regimented and super strict about life, and they're not natural and organic or whatever it might be. I want to invite you to a different way of looking at goals. I want to invite you to a different way of thinking about your life and the things that you're pursuing. I want you to do work that matters. Want you to do work worth doing, to live a life worth living. I'm Dan Cumberland. I should introduce myself. I'm the creator of the Meaning Movement, host of the Meaning Movement podcast. So in the last video, I went through a few of the mistakes we make when setting goals. It probably is good to go back and look at that video, watch that video. It's on this page somewhere. I haven't designed the page yet, so I don't know where on this page, but go back there. It might be a good place to start. In this video, I want to talk about how to choose the right goals for you when you don't know what goals you want, when you don't know what you want. I think a lot of times in life, we don't know what we want. So I'm going to go through two different ways to answer that question. It's going to be super practical, super just really nitty gritty. So first, the first method is a life audit, for lack of a better term. Just go through all the categories in your life. It sounds so basic, but it's really revealing. The major categories through which you view your life, the different categories that make up your life, and give yourself a score on 0 to 10 in each of those categories based on how you are doing in those categories, how you are progressing towards a life that you want to be living. A lot of these these categories there's not like a perfect 10. It's very subjective, but go through each one and give yourself a score. So some of those categories are things like professional, like how are you doing in your professional life? Would you give yourself a 10 with where you are with your career, where you are with your other endeavors outside of your career, but related to your professional life? Relationally, with friends, with family, with other important relationships. Some people break those out into specific line items, maybe a spouse, maybe a child, whatever it might be, maybe a parent, and think about how each of those relationships are, or those categories of relationships, and give yourself a score from 0 being like really unhealthy, this isn't at all what I want from that relationship, to 10 being like, this is really great, I've really had great time in that relationship. Emotionally is another category. Spiritually is another category. Physically, are you moving your body in the ways that you want to be moving? Are you as healthy as you'd want to be? And then financially, there might be other goals that suit you better. Go ahead and write down whatever goals those might be. I'm going to have a worksheet below this video where it'll walk you through this whole process. So first, you get clear on your categories. Let me just pull up my worksheet so then I can just walk you through that. First, get clear on your categories, then you go through and you score yourself 0 to 10 on each one. Then, after you've scored yourself and thoughtfully gone through each of those categories, you go back and you look, where are the biggest deficits? Where are the things that you're struggling the most with? Where are the areas of your life that you're least content with, least happy with? Circle those, highlight those, and think about what are some goals that you can put into place to move those forward. Secondly, circle the areas that you're just crushing it, where you're just doing a perfect 10, if there are those. If not a 10, then an 8 or a 7 or whatever it is, your highest, your best categories, and think about, why are those categories going so well for you? Why are you doing so well in those areas of life? And how can you replicate that success in the other areas where you might need to make some improvements. Based on that, gives you a really good framework to think about what goals make sense for me. So if you're really crushing it with your physical, with your fitness, whatever it might be, then maybe you don't need to think about changing a goal or putting a major goal in place for that. But maybe you have relationships in your life that you need to work on. So you can think about what would be some goals related to relationships that you could put into place for yourself. The second way that I think think is really interesting to approach this problem is to do an audit of the timeline of your last year. So this is a printout of a worksheet that I'll have on this video here. And the way that this works is there's a line across the center of the page, and then this starts at a year ago and ends today. And then you go throughout your year and think about what are the major events that you had. That's a very subjective question. What are the major events? Because it's all based on your personal experience. But what are the things that stand out as you think through that, both for positive and negative, and put them on this timeline. Put the positive ones above the line, the negative ones below the line. You might have some that are just slightly positive. You might have some that are very painful and negative. You might have some that exist on both sides of the line, because life is not black and white, and events and things that happen to you don't divide just clearly into clean-cut categories. But put it all on a piece of paper. Get it all out there. This might take you a lot of time, but it's very worthwhile, and it's really nice to have the ups and the downs so that you can really see what did the last year look like. And again, think through those same categories that I just gave you in that other exercise. Your professional, your relational, your emotional, your spiritual, your physical, your financial life, and think through what are the major events in each of those. And your personal, I think, is an important category here. What are the things that happen to you personally? Then take a look, step back from it, and look at it, and notice, what are the things that are happening? What has happened to you in the last year? What are the areas that have had the biggest impact? Where you've had the most movement, and what things are absent? What's absent from this list? What are the highlights and the lowlights, and what areas are those related to? And what are the highlights that you would like to see happen in your next year? It's a really good way for you to kind of just take inventory of where you are right now, so that you can think about where you want to go. You can't use a map. You can't create a map unless you know where you are. If you go to the mall, or you're at a theme park, or some public space where there's a map, you want to figure out how to get to whatever place you want to get to. The very first thing you have to figure out is that little arrow that says you are here. And that's what we're doing right now. So that you can know where you are right now, and then you can choose where you want to go and how you want to get there. So do both those exercises. They're both worksheets are linked to in this below this video. They'll be profoundly helpful for you if you have a hard time deciding what goals make the most sense for you. Super excited to dig into the next video, which is all about myths and some of the major myths that we have related to goals, habits, and productivity, all three of those topics. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.